Come, let us prepare. Make some good profits. Today, our market lift has big clues right here. This is important. Please pay attention to this. I will be running through why this is important, because this is the first time you see in a long time since the bounce up. Right? Yeah. First time you see a strong seller up here. Now, does this mean we are selling tomorrow? Absolutely not, because they are going to be trying their best to kill off all the puts that were trying to be added throughout the week. But you never know. You always have to stay prepared, because there's still bearish liquidity right here. I will show you how to be looking out for that. So even if it dumps tomorrow, you will not be caught by surprise. And most importantly, this 5-day moving average. You have to pay attention to that, because this is the reason why you don't short this yet. And I talked about this in many videos. And just take a look between the upper Bollinger and the 5-day moving average right there. If you don't know what this is, you can start by watching yesterday's video, and it will link you to the video before and prior to yesterday, and it will chain up all my thought process depending on how far back you want to watch it, right? Because with each and every day prior to that, you can link up the chain of the thought process, and you can also learn how we were looking out for the entire move here right there. So understanding how this goes down, understanding when to call the bottom, understanding how this started bouncing up, especially from here, and then understanding how to sustain this even right there. So after this video, if you're new here, watch yesterday's video if you have the time. Otherwise, wait for the weekends to catch up on all the videos and to chain up your thoughts. It's very important. Trust me, if you do that, especially, I would consider this one cycle, one trading cycle, right? From the upper Bollinger to the bottom Bollinger, back up to the upper Bollinger, and all just within the month. So this is great value. In 1 month, you're able to experience one trading cycle. And if you watch the videos, you will certainly level up. So please watch it over the weekends if you have the time. Let's take a look now into the algorithms here. This is extremely straightforward. 937, we already saw this coming. 937 was here. This was 9:37 a.m., right? Because more importantly, you see the pink liquidity forming. So identifying that pink liquidity was so crucial. And just take a look for yourself how beautiful this is. Just take a look for yourself. This pink liquidity right there. Grabbing on the way up. Look at how penny perfect it is on the wicks. You notice, look at the wicks. Bouncing off pink absolutely perfectly right there. And this is not it. More importantly is this particular magenta and orange. Now I talked about this magenta. 949, we already charted the magenta. And I want you to see for yourself. This magenta prevents you from going short. It prevents you from going short. And take a look. Penny perfect. Now this is 949. 949 was here. We identified magenta already. So absolutely no reason to further short this, because magenta was protecting the support. And I talked about this very juicy pink liquidity right there. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I wasn't around for the second half of the day, but this is more than enough. All within one hour of the day, isn't it? I told you at 9:51, be careful of the inverse head and shoulder pattern. Inverse head and shoulder pattern, 9:51 was here. I told you to be careful of this while being careful of the magenta, and it turned into penny perfect support. Now, if you're able to have the skill to be able to determine scenarios, literally a handful of scenarios, a handful, sometimes less than 3, 1 or 2 scenarios before it happens, and the fact that it's penny perfect to guide you in managing your risks. Now, this is important because having something penny perfect will help you manage your risks even better. There are people who teach you how to trade. They want you, for example, to just take a call here, right? Or call anywhere, and they want you to have stop loss here. So essentially, they want you to have a stop loss here, and they tell you a target that is arbitrary. They have no idea about the target. They just tell you, hey, take the target at a certain high or take the target at a certain level, and it's not accurate. Most of the time you don't hit the target, so you turn green unrealized, and then you lose it all. But can you imagine with precision like that? So the point is, you see the precision like that, right? And if you manage to take a call here, for example, just for example, and I want to run through the analysis here, and you literally have penny perfect stops. Can you imagine how much will your, let's say you reach this point ideally? Look at the risk to rewards. Here, this is your risk to rewards here. 30x risk to rewards. All because you're able to be managing very, very tightly your risks. 30x right here. And this 30x is non-leveraged. If you were to leverage this, especially with trading 0-day to expiry options, this will be absolutely incredible. So you must understand your risk to rewards is not necessarily determined by your contract value. And for most traders on YouTube that teaches you junk, to be honest, they want you to be able to sustain a stop loss of what? 1 point, 2 points. Some of them, they want you to hold on for 4 or 5 points, because to them, the entire contract value is your stop loss, and you're going to lose big, because especially when you're trading 0-day to expiry. But in this case, if you can be as precise, that your stops are as precise as 0.1. Now, this may not entirely be realistic to you if you're a newer trader. So maybe you allow it to breathe a little, 0.3, 0.5, and it's still very good. Let's say we have 0.3. And look, your 0.3, for example, all the way to the low of day, all right? And your risk to rewards, say 0.34, yeah? Your risk to rewards is still 10x. See the power of that, and this is not even threatened. So this is just a statistic for you, a metric for you. So you have to understand your risk to reward. Very importantly, it must be as precise as possible, and it is done possible because you have penny perfect algorithms like that. Not just about trying to catch the directional move. Remember, it's not about where the market is going. It's about finding profits in the charts and managing your risks. Because I talked about this again before I left for the day at 10 o'clock. I mentioned that the pink liquidity is extremely juicy right there. All right, so just see it for yourself. Absolutely penny perfect. So the point is this: if you are able to prepare ahead for the scenarios that you are setting up for, you can afford to be patient. And the point is, if you can afford to be patient, in that case, you will not overtrade. You will be sincerely waiting for what you're preparing for. And that's how you're able realistically to take 1 trade a day, 2 trades and 3 trades a day and call it a day. For newer traders, I would advise you just to pick 1 trade. Select 1 best trade for the day. And that skill, you're able to do that only because you're able to identify setups like that way in advance. Do you understand that, right? With the understanding of the algorithms. So remember, if you have time over the weekends, run through the videos from yesterday to the day prior. You will not regret it. You will learn something for sure. So where do we go from here? Now remember, I mentioned about this particular seller that's appearing. It doesn't matter if it doesn't grab the main key liquidities here. Now, by then, your 5-day would have already started entering into the range. Now, that's important, right? Because if you watch the previous videos, I mentioned that if this wants to head up some more, it will have to capture 5-day, retest the 5-day again before it starts continuing to trend up if it wants to. Now, obviously, if it wants to dump, right, it also has to retest the 5-day liquidity before it starts dumping, isn't it? So either way, a pullback to 5-day will always be ideal, and we'll look forward to that. So once 5-day enters into the range and you see there is liquidity here, if there is to be any dump, you just wait for 5-day. Now the point is, tomorrow is the last day of the week. This entire week caught everyone by surprise. So there are many short sellers under the range here. They will probably not get paid if there are no negative catalysts. They'll probably allow it to be expired out by tomorrow. So just be cautious if you want to short this. If you're looking for an epic dump, you can afford to wait for the 5-day moving average and understanding the liquidity here before that happens. Now, there is another liquidity zone that the market may be looking for, and that is this yellow 697 as I talked about, right? So a couple of bearish liquidity that has to be grabbed first before this heads down. So not just looking at the seller that has appeared, because the orange is not the best. You want the green seller within the orange, right? When we were dumping severely throughout the entire day, throughout the entire month of March, you see the green seller that was appearing throughout. So once again, if you want to see dumps, you wait for the green seller. Otherwise, it's just a very standard pullback to the 5-day moving average, not only for safety, but also to grab liquidity for both the bears and the bulls. You understand that? So there is more liquidity than usual because both the bears and the bulls will want to retest a certain level. And that, in this case, is usually the 5-day moving average. And that's why you see 5-day moving average is always a beautiful retest, even on the way down and likewise on the way up as well. Right, so just be patient and do not be biased in your opinion. Right, always be looking for where the profits are. Now, ideally, this is the best case scenario, is that if the bulls grab more liquidity, if this wants to head up, this is the best case scenario. By then, you will also see, now, you'll be wondering why the bottom Bollinger is trending down, right? I explained this tomorrow, and hopefully, after tomorrow, I meant I explained in yesterday's video, watch it later, but hopefully, after tomorrow, where we enter the new week, this will start to plateau, because then this will also plateau slightly for the 5-day to start catching up, building more liquidity on the push while the 20-day starts catching up as well. So the point is very simple. It's about liquidity. So I want to see if this liquidity is all being expired out tomorrow, and we will see this starting to trend up next week. We'll see. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Just focus on wrapping up the week strong. That's your purpose. That's your job. Yeah. So focus on that. Wrap up the week strong. Now, 5-day, if this wants to head down, you will not miss it. Absolutely not. Now wait for cups to close too. If this closes the cup, grab the liquidity here and we start rebuilding liquidity on the way down. This is also a good sign. So there are plenty of things to be looking out for. You want to see the green seller, not just the orange. So plenty of things to look for if this wants to dump. Before that happens, you scale down. You don't try to be different for the sake of calling the opposites on the market. So try not to do that. Try to be profitable. Try to go where the money is, right? Not a non-conformist. Some of you trade wanting to be a non-conformist. Yes, in society, maybe you are. But on the trading floor, when money matters to feed your family, right, you have to follow your rules and your systems and have discipline instead of taking trades just because you don't want to conform, right? But anyway, now, don't forget we are still in buying continuation because this can jolly well trend up the orange if it wants to, right? So when that happens, if it grinds, then you have to be more mindful to be taking more cautious trades here. But even with cautious trades, as I've shown you, if you can manage your risks enough, your risk to rewards will still be absolutely awesome. So be careful of this orange here, especially if we start grinding up tomorrow. It's a Friday. You don't know what's going to happen, right? There will be many, I wouldn't say manipulation, but the liquidity will be quite stacked tomorrow before the expiry. So you just have to be more careful, right? With more orders, obviously, right, it can go both ways. The first way is obviously a chop because when there are more buy and sell within the same price range, then the chop will be more intense. But otherwise, there is actually quite good liquidity here that looking forward to. The market wants to grind up further tomorrow. Right, this is also quite beautiful to grab. Right, so I'm looking forward to how the market wants to grab this liquidity too, because it's the first time since a while that there is quite large liquidity in the range and seeing quite strong sellers that's appearing in the market. Right, but just be careful. They will hold it up, as you can see. Right, they held it up today. Just be more careful tomorrow. Yeah, is this liquidity I'm curious about? Right, so the market may grab it with the orange, green, and maybe the blue, maybe next week. If the market wants to. We'll see. We'll see. I just want to see how the market grabs this liquidity here. So that aside, be aware where the liquidity levels are. Be aware that we are still in buying continuation, right? It will make more sense if you watch yesterday's video, the video prior to that, right? Catch up with the thought process to how it got us to where we are today. So thank you very much for watching. Let's focus on wrapping up the week strong. Tomorrow, do not overtrade. If you're already green and up, you take one trade only tomorrow, or at most two, with only a percentage of your profits, because your focus is to wrap up the week green and strong. So don't be wasting all your profits and wasting all your time on the Friday. All right, on a Friday, you wrap up strong. To some of you, if you cannot help it, if you cannot help yourself, then do not trade tomorrow. You wrap up the week strong already on a Thursday, and you go enjoy a weekend, you recalibrate, you realign, and we start a week strong again next week, right? Because this happens every day. We're doing this every single day for the rest of our lives. You're never going to miss out. You have to be focused on finding profits in the charts, focused on remaining profitable consistently, so you can feed your family, right? Thank you very much for watching. See you closer to opening bell.